opening statement, then he'll take the questions.
Absolutely. First injury-wise, and I know everybody's asked about Austin. Austin has continued to improve. Did some. One of the reasons we took him with us on Saturday was obviously we thought he'd be able to add certain things, but really until Thursday or Friday last week, where it was totally ruled out that he wasn't going to be able to play from the line of scrimmage. We typically make our travel roster on Wednesday, so our idea was to take him with us then, and at that point, we made a decision to bring him with us and help us with Cole on the sideline. Cole got all the reps last week as the one. Ty was all the week as a two, but Austin really did a nice job during the course of the game, I thought, to help Cole handle the game and go with us. But Austin's a little bit different situation this week. There is a chance by the end of the week, but don't know that till that time comes. Until then, we'll just continue to rep with Cole and Ty. Jack Lindsey was our technically on game day, our third string quarterback that went in there for us. Jeremy Gibson was a guy that we didn't know until last week, also until Thursday or Friday, how much he was going to be able to. He really surprised a lot of people being able to go back in there. I think overall did some good things, but you could tell he wasn't probably the 100% that he was. I think that the thing was he felt that way going the game, and he's 100% this week and be with us all this week during practice. I should say this, he's 100% at game time. He just wasn't able to go a normal practice week. So, and then Jeremy Patton, unfortunately, on I think it was Wednesday later afternoon practice, got caught in a rolled up pile up during inside drill, tweaked his ankle pretty good. Was a chance of him playing on Saturday. We booted him up, and he was unable to go, but should be back with us. Limited practice today, tomorrow, and then hopefully be back with us full go by Saturday. A number of guys had some bangs and bruises from Saturday, but overall that should be just those three I mentioned carrying forward from last week. The only concerns we have, nothing new or significant that came out of the game that would limit our guys moving forward. So taking a look at the film, obviously kind of like what we knew on Saturday, there was a lot of opportunities that we could have maybe did a little bit better on offense, defense, special teams. I think there were a lot of positives from the standpoint, some young receivers making some plays. Obviously a first start quarterback that really showed no signs of flinching an inch. I knew he was going to have tremendous confidence. I think we got to do a better job of supporting him around him at all positions, O-line, tight ends, running backs, wide receivers, and coaches. So that part is there. I do think he's an infectious player. Our defense also, obviously you start the game off with a big play, that big run. They put together a number of really good plays after that. We obviously had to turn over off to the exchange of the punt unit that gave them the ball deep in their territory. They stood that up for 3 points and then really stayed pretty balanced until the end of the half. And unfortunately, they gave up that score. But I did like the way we did want to go tempo. Even before Alabama had scored their last play before the half, we knew we wanted to go 2 minute and put Cole in a situation to go out there and play with that. He thrived in the moment. Obviously had the big play to Jordan Jones, who I think learned a lot on that play himself. Got behind two of their defenders. Cole hit him in stride and could be a big play there, but battled back, used the clock efficiently, responded very well before the half. Unfortunately, didn't get a break right there going in, which would have been huge. Came out, got the pick in the second half, and if we could have flourished on that, did get three. But there's a 10 to 14 point swing there that was big in the ball game, and we just got to make those plays happen if you're getting a chance to stay toe to toe with the number one team. So I think our guys learned a lot about themselves. I'm excited about the week, just from the standpoint, our guys have been here, done that, have responded very well. That no one questions their fight or their attitude. Personally, we've been here. We were 2-4, kind of almost in the exact same situation a couple of years back, and responded very well down the stretch, winning 5 or 6 or 6 or 7, whatever it was that we battled back on, starting with this game against Auburn. So I'm excited. The guys continue to make improvements. It's nowhere we want to be, but obviously knew going in that there were some young guys who are going to have some growing pains, and unfortunately we all suffered through them, and have some guys that are now getting healthy. The 3 season-ending injuries are obviously still there, but hopefully we'll kind of get better as we move forward. Some guys playing well on defense too. Scooter continues to play well. Cam Curl has absolutely been just incredibly awesome the way he's battled and competed and came forward. And some of the new guys up front, T.J. Smith's playing fairly well. Briston Guidry came in and did some nice stuff. Sosa's playing for a guy that's got staples in the leg and just continues to amaze me, his toughness to get a little banged up, go in, take care of it, come back out, and play the way he does is pretty impressive. So a lot of positives going in the right direction. With that, open it up for questions.
We never reached a point where you look and say maybe we try to rebuild and play some of the younger guys, or you do everything you can to win now and play the older guys until maybe all possibilities and options.
Well, I think we did that since the beginning. We started, 4 out of 5 wide receivers were all first-year players for the most part. Running backs were all first-year players. Devwell Whaley played in the reserve role to Raleigh. Obviously, quarterback, you got a fifth-year starting quarterback. We have 2 new starters on the offensive line. I believe 2 starters for sure in the defensive line out of a new 3-4 front. Got a new starter in Scuda, and then in the back end, obviously a true freshman. So we've been starting freshmen and going freshmen since day one. And I think we'll go with the best people that give us a chance to win. I think in Game 6, you're looking at a team that's got 6 in front of us that we want to win as many as we can and hopefully get ourselves in a position to play one more. But there's nothing more important than Auburn.
When you look at the tape from Saturday with the O-line changes, what did you see from that? Is that something that looks good to see?
Yeah, at times, obviously, Alabama can make anybody look bad if they had have a guy hit the right move or the right call or the right stunt. But overall, there was guys when Cole was in the pocket and stepped up and was able to throw on time and rhythm and again stepped forward, he was really, really effective. The long ball to Jordan, the plays down in the red zone that were a couple of them were strikes, a couple of them were near strikes. Being able to see the field, he's so dang tall. I mean, he just really sees things exceptionally well, and his vision is always downfield. I think that was very apparent from the outside world moving forward. And then in the run game, obviously the ability to sustain blocks. We had a lot of 2, 3, 4 yard runs that it's the turning point is when you can turn one of those into an 8 to 10 yarder, and those are just hard to come by.
Bret, you never want you guys to look ahead, I know, but with this Auburn game, the way things turned out last year, do you think this is maybe one that they kind of had circled on the calendar?
I think just the way they ended a year ago, it'd be fair to say that from the time they walked off the field last year to where we are, they've made themselves aware of it. There's a lot of not just amongst the players, amongst the coaches. Obviously, some of their coaches, including Gus, had already been here, and his story that involves the state, and they've tried to recruit a lot of our players. A lot of our guys that are here that are in-state guys. I would say that most of the time, the guys that had multiple SEC offers, Auburn was in the mix for those guys. So there's a lot of personal stories to that too. So I think there's a lot in this game that's invested more than just the game itself.
Throughout last year, this was kind of the flashpoint game for the defense, and the game people sort of remember as for some of your defensive problems. 1 year later, how do you feel like things are going?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a wholesale change, as we did, going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, there's going to be some things that you just got to live through to have them get exposed. You try to plow them up as best you can during the course of the week. Sometimes you find them, other times your opponents find them. I think there's a lot of guys that have gotten better. I think there's still some adjustments that our guys are going through up front. But overall, you have a guy like Andre Tolliver who's playing as good as he's played. I think just individually, Dwayne Eugene is playing as good as he's played. Randy Ramsey actually had a little tweaked ankle last week, so he didn't get many reps during the course of the game, but should be back healthy. And he'd been doing a nice job, played a little bit for us on our third down package. Scuda already mentioned. Dre's a guy that's been hot and cold. He's played some things really, really well. He's very good athletic ability. There's some things we got to get him to play within the system and do his assignment, and we can all of us take a step forward. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I'd say we're going forward, not backwards. Just in general, offense, defense, special teams, or well, they're a good football team. Obviously, top 10 team that lost a tough one on Saturday I watched the film late last night. Really, all 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams, and two teams were battling really hard to get competing. And I think their quarterback is a very, very good player who throws a very good football. Their running backs, 21's a very explosive player. He's going to get the majority of the reps as of late. Up front, they play a scheme that they do a lot of movement east and west. But when they come downhill, they got big boys that can do that as well. Put 21 at quarterback. He brings a different dimension when they run their little wildcat package. Defensively, they all got those single digit jerseys up front. They're big, good-looking, athletic cats that you know, I got a lot of respect for what their defensive coaches have done the last couple of years, and you know, it's a game, an SEC game, like everything else. You gotta play the game and obviously, you know, withstand the moments that go against you and ride the ones that are for you, and hopefully come out on top.
What's the cutoff for Austin? Fully healthy, 80%, can you gut it out? Where is it at?
For who? Austin? You know, if it came to a point later in the week that it looked like he could practice Thursday, I think there's a merit to that. But where he's at right now, I still say we're a couple of weeks away. But Austin, I think, is a guy that probably surprises a lot of people. And if he can go, he can do things, then it's positive for us. Do you have one more?
Okay, so right there, I also know Bret would have.
Yeah, he's very good in every facet, every situation, every game. The one thing that's probably been the biggest thing for me is he seems like he's been there forever, you know, and he just very efficient. He doesn't ever have a bad game.
So, when you look at your defense and what Alabama did, it seemed like the cutback was
Yeah.
was the killer. Sometimes maybe it's the backside linebacker, it's Dre, sometimes maybe it's good. I mean, how do you
Yeah, you know, the first play they did, they actually fanned back on the backside, which they hadn't really done, which created that big seam. I think a little bit of Dre's emotions, that first play, you want to go, he wants, you know, he's a linebacker that sees ball, wants to get ball every play, and I learned this one a long time ago, right? Any plays that cut back behind the backside linebacker end up being big plays, and that one went all the way back behind the backside linebacker, and then it gets into your backside corner and safety support, and it was one that we didn't get him down, and obviously a big play resulted. There were times, though, that they, I don't know whether by design or just by chance, that some of that stuff started to roll back, and we were there on the front side, defended it very well. When we played sound and we were on our feet, we played very, very well. But obviously, that play was a heartbreaker right there, and then a couple of pass plays.
I was going to say, in the middle of the game, you got to be pleased with them settling down.
Yeah, you know, we had a plan, obviously, to bring a little pressure, do some things. I like the way they responded. Again, you have some guys that are, you got a true freshman corner going against one of the best teams in the country. You got a number of guys up front who haven't played in that game itself. I think Sosa's the only one that really, Bijan had played, and Bijan's probably put together two of his better games here as of late. So, again, we'll just keep coming along. I go back to, I didn't really, just different things strike you as a head coach. So, on Saturday morning, we always do this. We have our pregame meal, which is 4 hours out from the game. Usually I have a couple announcements, and then I'll let someone say a prayer, one of the coaches, somebody, and Dwayne Eugene had it, and then I call up the team by dinner. And usually I'm kind of making notes to myself as I call the guys up, so I'll say seniors, and then all the seniors get up, and we have a 2-line buffet, and it's the same since I've been a head coach. It's been the same since I got here when I was here before. And I just realized we were in a kind of a bigger room than normal. It was a double ballroom. It was really big. And when I called the seniors, there were just so few guys that got up, and then I yelled juniors, and like, you know, a third of the room, and I yelled sophomores, another third. It was just overwhelming how many guys are juniors, sophomores, and freshmen that are getting ready to play on the road. And again, your first time as a quarterback, I thought Cole handled the moment as well as he could, and a lot of positives.
How did it change the expectations for the offense, the team that gets called at quarterback moving forward?
I don't. Why do we got to change them? No, I think you want to win the game last week. Our guys knew all week he was going to be the guy, and this week we want to win. So I don't think that changes. What's that? Yeah.
And he said that coaches can't talk about this in season, but injuries make a big deal. How have you guys handled that internally? That, you know, you're talking about top receiver, top running back, top quarterback.
Well, one of the, it's not coach speak. I think everyone that's been in this position realize that what you try to preach to the kids before it happens is next man in mentality. No matter what, I try to always do this in our first 2 scrimmages during the fall. If there's a significant injury, all right, if someone goes down during a scrimmage and another guy has to step in, you'll make a point about how that person played. This year I used it out of the gate with Devois because, you know, if Raleigh hadn't been injured in the spring, he would have been there as the #1 guy. So Devois had made a couple nice plays that day, so I brought that point up. And then I'll go around the room or around the guys that are returning players, and I'll say, how did you get your first start? You know, so I'll say, Frank Ragnow, how'd you get your first start? Austin Cantrell, how'd you get your first opportunity? Jared Cornelius, when did you get your first opportunity? And 9 times out of 10, it's the man in front of them was injured, is when their first real opportunity to hit the field. So you just try to stress that there. I appreciate Bobby saying, Bobby popped over afterwards too, came over here after your speech or after the speech at the club, and been close to him for a long while, so he had a lot of good things to say, but I think as coaches, it's only something you know. Obviously, I've mentioned it, but I haven't dwelled on it as coaches, because then you guys will hammer me, but it is something that you have to have an awareness of, and your players have to as well.
When your starting quarterback is out, and obviously the 3 guy becomes much more important, and I misunderstand you earlier when you said that would have been back.
Well, two guys are probably in that same spot, Jack Krause and Carson Proctor. You know, I'm sorry, not Jack Krause. What am I saying? Yeah, Jack Lindsey. That's it. Well, you know, last year I think, you know, during the spring, you know, your clear-cut one was Austin. 2 and 3 we were battling out. So it was really who was battling was 2 was Cole Kelly and Ty Story, and in that 3rd spot we were battling out with Carson Proctor, Jack Lindsey, and the true freshman. You know, and we don't want to use the freshman's red shirt. He's doing a great job. He's getting bigger, stronger. So it really gets down to Carson and Lindsey. So yeah, he's really your 4th, but he's your 3rd because the injured guy got first. Who's Jack done? Got bigger, stronger, throws the ball. I thought he was impressive last spring during some of the scrimmages, and this year during the fall. I know, talking to his high school coaches, you know, he's a kid that had transitioned from senior year from Fayetteville over to Springdale, and one of the things that stuck in my mind that Coach always said was, you know, he'd coached both the Allen boys, and he said, you know, Austin and Brandon both had a lot of talent, but the one thing Jack always knew is he always knew where the ball was going. He always seemed to be ahead of the game, and he's an incredibly headsy player. Obviously, his family's got a long storied and tradition history here for a reason. They kind of have that it factor, and I think Jack's definitely got that.
The success in the 2-minute stuff
Mhm.
now, do you envision using that outside of last 2 minutes of the half or trying to catch up in the game?
Yeah, you know, so actually going back to the spring, I think some of you guys saw it, and then during the fall, we've actually had a tempo system in place for Austin that we thought we had a 5th-year senior quarterback and a 5th-year senior center that are in charge of all your communication. So we started practicing a phase of our game that we refer to as an up-tempo phase that looks like 2 minutes to the outside observer, but we've been practicing all the way from last spring. Had it in every game going into last weekend, and it's something we were able to capitalize and use with Cole that really, truly gives him our entire offense, but at a tempo. And then we also went before the end of the half with 2 minute, which was, you know, primarily one offensive package with a huge emphasis in the throw game. But they both look similar, and it's something that I think we're excited the way Cole handled it. But you know, for our offense, defense, special teams to work together, our huddle system is something we definitely will use.
Curious to Zach Rogers.
Yeah.
Start, and then you lost. I know he started with.
Yeah. You know, it was probably not fair to throw it in with I think Bob asked a question about the offensive line and how it went, and you know, I made a point we didn't know about Jeremy. If Jeremy was able to go during the course of the week, we were still working Frank at center with Jeremy at right guard and Brian at right tackle, like Jeremy Gibson had been doing all fall. But when the opportunity came that it looked like Jeremy could go for the game itself, to put him over in place of Colton, we wanted to give Colton a little bit of relief in that game, and that's what presented that lineup right there. But I think Colton at left tackle, Yelda at left guard, Frank at center, Jeremy Gibson at right guard, and Brian Walsh at right tackle is a lineup that we like as well.